Let's be honest, nobody likes the word liability. It sounds heavy, like a financial red flag. But here's the truth most people never confront. Some of your regular spending habits are quietly draining your future. And it doesn't happen with a bang. It's not dramatic. It's silent. It's consistent. And over time, it robs you of financial freedom. In the last video, we talked about asset expenses. Spending that adds value, puts money in your pocket, builds skills, or improves your life sustainably. Now let's flip the coin. Let's talk about liability expenses. And not just the big obvious ones. We're going to shine a light on the everyday expenses that feel normal, feel essential, or even feel good, but are actually pulling you away from your long-term goals. Robert Kiyosaki defined a liability in very simple terms. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. That's it. No frills, no confusion. If it doesn't give you something back, whether in terms of income, peace of mind, skill, or sustainable joy, it's a liability. But let's make it practical, because knowing the definition doesn't help unless you can apply it. So, let me give you some real-world examples of common liability expenses, especially ones we see a lot in urban Indian households. Taking a Rs 1 lakh loan to buy the latest smartphone, when your old phone works fine and you don't earn from your phone. Paying EMIs for a fancy bike or car, which you use mostly on weekends, not for business or commuting. Eating out multiple times a week, not because you enjoy the experience, but because you're too tired or too disorganized to cook. Subscriptions, Netflix, Prime, Spotify, Hotstar, Disney Plus, Gaana Plus, etc., where you're paying for 5 platforms but actively use just one. Gym memberships, co-working spaces, or clubs you don't visit. Buying clothes, accessories, or gadgets just to fit in or impress others. And they lie unused after a few weeks. Gifts to colleagues, extended family, or social groups. Not from the heart, but out of pressure or obligation. Now you might be thinking, but Jiten, aren't some of these things also important? Shouldn't I enjoy life? Of course you should. But here's the catch. Enjoyment without awareness leads to erosion. When you don't realize that you're spending money on things that don't serve your purpose, that don't align with your values, and that don't bring long-term joy, you start living someone else's financial script, not yours. That's where this exercise becomes powerful. I want you to do a simple liability expense audit right after this video. Open your expense tracker, or your bank statement, or even your credit card summary from the last 1 to 3 months. Go line by line. Ask yourself for each item, did this expense add lasting value to my life? Is it helping me move closer to financial freedom? Would anything major change if I didn't spend on this? If the answer is no, no, and no, that's a liability. And here's what I'd like you to do. Add up those expenses, just the ones that clearly fall in the liability zone. Do the math. You might find that in just 1 month, Rs 5,000 or Rs 15,000 or even more went into expenses that didn't make you happier, wiser, richer, or freer. Now multiply that over a year. Now imagine what that money could have done if it was directed towards SIPs for long-term wealth, a course to upskill and get a better income, insurance premiums that protect your future, building a small emergency buffer to sleep peacefully at night. That's not theory. That's the opportunity cost of liability spending. But here's what I want to be very clear about. This is not about guilt. We're not here to shame you for spending on a meal out or a pair of shoes or a gadget you liked. Life is meant to be enjoyed. But the question is, are you spending intentionally or unconsciously? Guilt leads to shame. Awareness leads to choice. The goal of this video is to help you make your expenses visible and then decide whether they belong in your life or not. That's it. If you choose to keep a liability expense because it brings you joy, peace, or helps your relationship, go ahead. but do it consciously. For example, if you love going out for a fancy dinner once a month with your spouse, not because it's fashionable but because it reconnects you, then maybe that's not a liability at all. Maybe that's emotional nourishment. But if you're dining out thrice a week just to escape the chaos of home or office, and it leaves you with regret and a bloated bill, you need to rethink. And that's what leads us to the next video. Because not all expenses fit neatly into the asset or liability box. What about the gray zone? Like that iPad you bought for your child. Was that an investment in their learning or just a distraction? Or that family trip to the hills? Was it healing and bonding or social media-driven pressure? This is where the next level of financial awareness begins. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the final video of this week. We'll talk about gray zone expenses, the tricky ones. And I'll share a 2-question filter that will help you reclassify almost every spending decision going forward. But before we get there, let me give you a motto to remember. Your money always leaves a trail. Either it leads to freedom or it leads to frustration. Where it goes is in your hands. I'll see you in the next video. Let's tackle the gray zones together.